everything went left. So from there, we were like, we got to do our own, so we won't have to worry about nobody else fucking up and us losing everything. We got my LLCs or October 2015, but I didn't get my license until July 2018. So that's how long the process was to apply for your mental health license.
Y'all
started in 2015, and not until July 2018 was I ready to actually make my first dollar. I'm sitting in Jamaica and I get the final numbers from my bookkeeper, and I almost hit $1 million in 2019. After that. But money though. Yeah. How does money show up in relationships? Family, friendships, all that.
What's up, guys? This is Brianna Moore, your host of the Conversations Unearthed podcast, where y'all come for me, but you stay for the guests. Today, oh my gosh, I got a heavy hitter in the house for y'all tonight. Miss Korinn. Why?
Okay, why?
Carter. I don't really feel like you need too much of an introduction, but for the people who don't have the pleasure of knowing who you are, let's go ahead and get into it. So, serial and social entrepreneur, straight out of the north side of Richmond, Virginia, a change maker who builds brands and businesses rooted in real community, real impact, and real love for people. You done turn hustle into healing and strategy into safe spaces, creating platforms for us by us.
Okay.
And empowering others to win. From movements to mentorship, Korinn's work is all about giving folks the tools to create change in their homes, neighborhoods, and cities. She's not just dreaming of a better world, she's out here building it. Let's get into it with the incomparable Korinn Y. Carter. How are you doing today?
Nah, that was dope.
For real, like that?
That was dope.
You want me to chop it up and give it to you? Because we can. I've done that before.
Yes, come
on. Bet.
I sent you some coins for that.
Ooh, big boss.
That's it.
Not the little one.
Good.
The one,
good.
not the two. I appreciate that for real. But before we get into everything, I gotta ask the very broad yet very intimate question. How's your heart?
Ooh, you sound like Jessica P. Hill.
Oh, shout out to Jessica P. Hill. We love Jessica P. Hill around here.
Shout out to Jessica P. Hill. That's my little baby that listens. Okay.
She told me that when when she was 17 years old, she said that you told her that she would be working with you or under you in some capacity as a mental health therapist or something. And now look at her, has branded herself as the black man's therapist.
Absolutely.
And is killing it right now.
Love that.
And I told her last night that I was like, oh, she got some type of manifestation affirmation on her. That's my type of talk right there.
Absolutely. I saw that in Jessica. She was 17. Yeah, like you said, she was working in Charles City summer camp. Yeah, working with the kids, and she had that light on her. You know, Jessica got that light.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it through the screens, through everything.
Man,
pictures for sure. So she's a gem.
Man, look,
grateful for sure.
And that's and you know, Jessica and I are on the podcast together, Mind Over Matter.
Okay, yeah.
And I love her, having her here, because it's something about talking about mental health on a podcast and having a therapist there who gives the clinical perspective.
Yeah.
But then it's
heated.
unique. Yes.
Okay, yes. Especially with the men, though. When you add the men in the mix.
It's unique, though, because I'd be like, all right, Jessica, well, that's the clinical. Now what about you? And she'd be like, ooh, I gotta dig, you know.
You know, it's always easiest to give advice and not take your own advice. So same. I would suspect for a therapist. I knew that one. I can't sit and listen to nobody stuff all day.
Yeah. So you're not a therapist.
No, I am not. That was my lane. That was my goal. So yeah, my plan was to become a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I wanted to be a sex therapist, really.
Okay.
I wanted to focus primarily on sex and couples, rebuilding the black family.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I did a quick stint in grad school, about a semester at University of Maryland College Park. And I dropped out. I burned myself out. I graduated George Mason in 3 years instead of 4. Worked 2 jobs through the whole time. Started an organization. So at the time, my organization, Chase Dreams Not Boys, had like 400 members across 3 different campuses.
Wow.
When I went to grad school. So I was like sitting in class, and it was a super intensive program that I manifested to. Like first day of freshman year, I was like, I'm going to this program for grad school. So I already had this whole plan set, right? Chase Dreams Not Boys wasn't in the plan though. So yeah, I'm sitting in class in grad school, and they were talking about the amount of money that a therapist can make, like a salary base or whatever, and like the highest one was like $75,000 in New Jersey. And I'm like, nah, that ain't gonna cut it. You know, like,
yeah,
nah, this ain't gonna cut it.
Which they should get paid more. Like that's a pretty interesting job
for sure. Yeah, no, please believe me, therapists get a bag, right? So now I hire them. So instead of becoming licensed, I'm now an employer of licensed and resident therapists. But yeah, no, you can definitely get a bag as a therapist. So that's another piece about school. They don't teach you that.
Okay.
You know, how to hustle.
But how do you get a bag as a therapist? How do you get a bag as a therapist without kind of going into your own thing? Because are you speaking more so if they go the entrepreneurial route, they can? Or?
I mean, either way, right? So with as a licensed professional counselor or a licensed social worker, you know, it's a lot of different ways you can go with that, with your education as far as a salary, but it's always ways to hustle. So people are always looking for assessments or contract out here, supervision. It's a lot of different ways that you can, you know, piece it together. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
I love that because I think it's some people out here who want to be doing therapy work and also want to do what you do. So the fact that you be an entrepreneur, social entrepreneur,
yeah, for sure. No, you can start your business. You can do consulting. It's a lot of different things in the clinical world. My piece is it's great to go get a job, work with different populations, different settings, so that you have some real life experience. Don't just, you know, get on TikTok or Instagram speaking from your textbook. You know,
I love that. I love that.
But you know, everybody an expert these days.
All the gurus. I heard from the grapevine, like, I usually ask a question of, what was your first relationship with money? And somebody told me, like, back in the day, you might have made like I don't know, you remember this platform called MySpace?
Yes.
Or like Bebo?
Yeah.
Like you might have been making the skins.
Okay, you doing your research.
Wait a minute. First of all, the cast over here of Conversations on the Earth, we actually do a lot of research on these people.
Yes.
On these amazing greats. So
where is that even where you can even find it? Somebody told you that.
Hey. We don't reveal our sources over here. I also heard that your dad was an entrepreneur. He was a landscaper. Mm-hmm. I also heard that your I call my papa, your granddaddy.
Yeah.
Was he like an optometrist or something? So you've come from a line of entrepreneurs. But I still want to know, what was your first relationship with money?
That's a deep question. Because, absolutely come from entrepreneurs on both ends. Hustle in both ends, right? But one being like legit, the other not being legit, you know? So seeing both ends of the coin in that regard. But I think my first relationship with money was like really realizing the differences between my mom's side and my father's side as far as money goes, right? Like, so like really seeing the my mother's father was the optometrist, first black optometrist in the city of Richmond and the second in the state of Virginia. Oh. So had his own practice and, you know, did frames and lenses and everything. So if you were a black person in Richmond, like you had to go to him.
That's fire.
So very like well-known Jackson Ward, like real estate and Dr. John Howlett.
Okay.
Yeah, John Howlett. Okay. Yeah. And so very well connected, very involved in the community and involved in all different types of things. But money, right? Like, so it just generationally created generational wealth. Mm-hmm. So I saw that on one end, and then on the other end where my father's side of the family not wealthy at all, right? Like surviving with my grandmother retired early from Philip Morris and was still able to hold us all down. And, you know, we all grew up in the same house. We, you know, she made sure everybody was straight.
How many of y'all was it?
It ain't that many of us.
Okay.
My grandma had two sons, and then she's got 3 granddaughters between the 2 sons. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she just held it down.
Okay.
Held it down. So just seeing the difference between single mom, right? We pretty much lived on credit type. Because she was well retired by the time by the time I was older, right? She was already retired. So my relationship with money really surrounded me thinking that happiness came from money. Like looking at my mother's family, like that's what I want. Because I was raised by my dad. So I was raised by a single dad and my grandma, right? So my experience with my mother's family was holidays and like occasions, celebrations, different things like that. But again, total stark difference between going home and then experiencing that. So that was my first relationship with money, is like aspiring, thinking that, you know, the grass is green on the other side, right?
Wow.
And thinking that my happiness or my worth or whatever is attached to money. That's where that started, childhood.
So, okay, so what I heard is maybe, was it like a certain thing that you were looking forward to when you got money? Like when was the first time? Was it like a Christmas present or like a gift card or something that you went to the store and you was like, oh, this is money?
Man, I remember like hustling for back to school money.
Okay.
Yeah, hustling for back to school money, like knowing I gotta have a black pair of shoes, a white pair of shoes, a colorful pair of shoes, and some Timbs.
Oh,
so I need all four for the first day of school, and I need outfits to match each one. So I'm hustling trying to get.
So you got that? Nobody?
No, I mean my family. Like what I can piece it together. Like okay, she gave me $50. She gave me $50. I'm saving this up so I can go and like get the things that I want for back to school. So
I love that, and the fact that you were raised by a single dad. I don't know a lot of people who were raised by single dads.
Yeah, especially girls.
Yeah. Especially girls.
Yeah, that's how I was raised. Like we cuss on here?
You can say whatever you want on here.
But no, I'm a little nigga because of that.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, rough around the edges, very much so. Like, had to tap into the feminine bag way later. Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay. I'm gonna get into that later. Okay.
Look, you said the longest was 4 hours.
I was about to say no.
To drop, but you know,
no. I was just thinking like, how is that with dating though? Like, how has that been? That's why I was like, I ain't gonna get because we get it's because it's a financial podcast, but also it's like holistic, well rounded,
and that has much to do with dating,
right?
The financial piece,
because it's this whole thing of like when men being okay with, you know, going 50-50, and I'm not sure if that's something that you saw growing up or if your dad had dated or what happened with.
Nah, my dad didn't date until I went to college.
Wow.
He did not want me to see him with another woman besides my mama.
Besides your mom, okay.
Yeah, so
where was your mom though? Was she?
My mom had multiple sclerosis prior to me even being born. Jesus. So she had me. I was late. I got twin sisters. They 12 years older, so they 45. What? And I shouldn't say y'all age. Whatever. Anyways,
I can cut it out.
Yeah, no, they don't care.
Okay,
but yeah. What was the question? What was happening to my mom? Yeah, multiple sclerosis. So by the time they were married. So by the time I was about 5, 6, they had divorced. And my grandmother, my mom's mom, was taking care of her, and so had taken care of her until she couldn't anymore. Yeah, and that was. My grandmother died in 2018. My mother died in 2019, less than a year apart.
Jesus
so like my mother was not about to stay here, you know, without her mama type thing. Like she held her down. So yeah,
you took in a lot of trauma at an early age then. Yeah. Well, I would say loss. A lot of loss.
Well, I mean, I didn't really realize. I knew I didn't have a mom, right? So seeking that from other places and other things and trying to fill the void, right? But I really didn't realize. I guess my mother passed in 2019, so I was an adult. But I didn't really realize how much mourning and grieving and loss I had already experienced through my life, just because she wasn't there. She wasn't, I would see her, right? But she's just not coherent, not really, you know what I mean? Like able to interact, cognizant in that way. And so, when she passed, it's like, you've been grieving this whole time. So grieving was differently when she actually passed. Like it was a different process than I think other people have experienced, or like just the normal set of grief of losing somebody. It's like, I lost her a long time ago, just not physically. So
that's such an interesting thing. And because I mean, me and my mama live with me right now, but Lord, we've always we have just always not had the greatest relationship. So I really resonate with what you're saying, because my mom's not sick. She's just not mentally able to form those like nurturing relationships with anybody. So it almost feels like a grief, but it's like on the other end, it's like, no, your mom actually, like, you could see it. Like it was, so that loss,
but still, as a kid, the abandonment still hit the same. Yeah, so that's the piece.
Yeah.
You're still dealing with the abandonment, whether she's here or not. So yeah, it's definitely unique.
And whether it's her fault or not, too.
Correct, right. Even as an adult, having to like really understand the process. Like, yo, that wasn't her fault. She didn't choose that. It wasn't personal to you. That's, it's like life. But as a kid, you 5-6 years old, your life changed in a day or a week or whatever. Yeah, you don't have any explanation for that. So.
Whew. All right. Well, back to what we. I done told my business, and Miss Korinn opened up. Shout out to you.
Look, we ain't still in the intro.
We still in. I know, right? All right. I want to say some names, and you tell me the first thing that come to mind when I say them. Okay.
Okay.
Dave Ramsey. You familiar with Dave Ramsey? I feel like a lot of people who are entrepreneurial kind of know who he is.
Yeah. But I'm not a follower.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. Informative.
Yeah, informative.
I read it when I see it. I read it, but I'm not like a stan. Yeah.
I don't agree with a lot of things that he says, but I'm like, hey, if you didn't monetize being able to tell people to save up for a house in this economy,
right?
I'm gonna have to respect the marketing hustle.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Sure. Hustler. Yeah.
Donald Trump. All right. And next.
Smash or pass.
Smash or pass. If they wanted to, they would.
If they wanted to, they would.
Yeah. What's the first thing that come to mind?
They can't.
If they wanted to, they would, but they can't. All right. Crypto.
Currency.
That's what you think of? Currency?
You said crypto. I think of currency. Cryptocurrency.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Section 8.
See, because you and I'm just about to say housing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Section 8 housing.
All right. Black capitalism.
Black Wall Street.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Maggie L. Walker.
Boss. Auntie.
All right, so now we got to talk about this because you have the St. Luke Legacy Center. For those of y'all who just tuning in, Korinn is a serial entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, big boss, not the little one. And she has done a lot of different businesses. Especially, she started as an entrepreneur. It feel like you started at probably close to like 8 or 9 years old, making the MySpace and Bebo skins.
Yeah,
something like that.
6th grade. Yep.
6th grade. That's crazy. So now she has this St. Luke Legacy Center, which is like for wraparound services. I had never seen a model like yours before. Like the you have childcare, and I think did you?
Yeah, we had childcare.
You had childcare before. That's cool. It still count.
Yep.
You have a therapy services, a mental health therapy services. You got, and then y'all are having like Legacy Week coming up, which is like it feels like a festival for wellness. Tell me about how all of this got started.
Okay. So I started my first business, my first few businesses 10 years ago. So fall of 2015. And so I told you I dropped out of grad school. That was 2014. And so 2015, I had started my businesses after coming home and started working in the field in mental health. And so not even realizing like it was a whole ecosystem in Richmond in mental health and community-based mental health. So I became a qualified mental health professional, started working with kids, started in Hopewell, and I kind of really just started moving my way up from there. The company that I was with, my family and I, we were with the company that went left. A lot of mental health agencies, aren't operating it the best way.
But it won't, because I be hearing stuff.
Yeah.
It won't you.
No.
It won't your company.
It won't my
that
company.
Messed up.
No.
It was the other company, the other owner
Mm-hmm.
that lost their license.
Yeah. It's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot, but that's just a piece of it.
And I was just a fresh little wet behind the ears, not knowing what's going on.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yes. And so everything went left. So from there, we were like, we got to do our own. So we won't have to worry about nobody else fucking up and us losing everything, right?
Yeah.
Like we are at the whim of these folks, right?
Yeah.
So, went broke a couple times in the midst of trying to start, my agency. But got my LLCs September or October 2015, but I didn't get my license until July 2018. So that's how long the process was to apply for your mental health license and and wait it out.
3 years.
So,
y'all
started in 2015, and not until July 2018 was I ready to actually make my first dollar. So that's another part of like, I mean, I was making money with my other businesses before then, and I was learning the business so that when my license hit, I could just pick everything up, take all my staff, take all my clients, everything to my license. And so have been with several different agencies and learned a lot from, things that were done well, some things that weren't done well. But yeah, didn't make my first dollar with the mental health agency until July 2018. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So mental health agency started working with kids. And if you're in the field, like every 6 months, every year, whatever, you can add another service. And so my goal had always been to, I went to school to be sex therapist, right? Couples, families. That's what I was worried about, what I was passionate about. And so started working with the kids after school, summer programming. And it's like, you teach them these things, but they got to go home. And what you reinforce is unlearned. But they spend more time at home than they do with you. So it's like these positive gains that we making, you just backsliding every day, especially summer, Lord have mercy. So realizing like, we need to service the parents. And so then it just starts spiraling from there. It's like this wraparound approach to stabilize this kid is the only way that we can really maintain these positive gains. And so in that, realizing in doing the work, there's so many other things, whereas mental health could be the foundation of the issues that are happening. You got food insecurity, housing instability, workforce development, lack of education. I mean, so many different things, right? Access, just all that, right? And it's like, that's not my lane. My lane is mental health. This is what I know. And so we have been going above and beyond the scope of like what we were supposed to be doing. And so I operated like that for quite a while, right? Well, shit. That was 2018. When I started looking back and reflecting, it's like, damn, girl, it was 2018 when you first started. The pandemic hit in 2020,
Yeah.
I lost 80% of my income. 90%, honestly, if I'm being, if I'm gonna be transparent. 90% of my income when the pandemic hit. So everything had to shut down.
Because y'all were dependent on the services that
that was my bread and butter. Absolutely. I had quite a few employees.
How many employees did you have? How much money was you making?
So I remember specifically, I told you my mom died September 2019. Yeah. Me and my dad went to Jamaica for Christmas 2019. My birthday's Christmas Eve too. Shout out to the Capricorns.
Oh, lit.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I love Capricorns.
Yes. Okay. So I'm sitting in Jamaica and I get the final numbers from my bookkeeper for the year 2019. And because I owned a hair salon at the time, so I had the glow shop. I had somebody's youth care, mentoring services. That was the child care and mentoring and things. And then A New Legacy, the mental health agency. And I almost hit $1 million in 2019. Right?
In 2019? And that was your best
Closing
year?
out 2019. Yeah, that was because, you think about it, I just got my license July 2018. So I hadn't even had that was like a year and a half of business,
and is that $1 million in revenue?
Yeah, gross revenue.
Okay.
Yeah. Not net. We on the money podcast. So not net, y'all.
No, I just was wondering. I mean, that's still like, it's not
real.
A lot of people that I know that have hit that.
Yes. Yeah. And so I was so excited, like, this is about to be it. Because if you know me, I've been saying I'm going to be a millionaire by I'm 25. I hit 25, I'm like, shit, all right, 30. Like, I'm like pushing it, but I'm like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I've been saying that since I was a kid. So, So that was 2019. And then I'm like, I'm about to be lit. Like, I'm definitely hitting this million in 2020. Like, this about to be crazy. This about to be crazy. So then the pandemic, March. And and so it just,
that's insane to go from
lost everything for real, lost everything. Came up with the idle SBA and like all the assistance, so that was a window of waiting of what the fuck niggas gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, maybe I had 2 months of figuring it out before like all the assistance came through, right? And so once the assistance came through, I was like, shit, well, I'm going to take this opportunity and, make it do what it do, right? Yeah. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when we're going to be able to, see, kids again and all of that. So let me take this money and do something that, you know, we can sustain with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Set us up. And so we were looking for commercial space. So, you know, we're in spring 2020 now. My cousin and I, Nikki, she's my co-founder of the Legacy Center. She's my letter. So she's my OG Jessica, my LPC.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So
I think Jessica is like said that she shouted her out before.
Yeah. Nikki. So she's the chief clinical officer,
weight.
co-founder. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely holds weight for sure. So yeah, we were in our grandfather's building, the optometrist in Jackson Ward. That's where we started our business, in that office, right? And so you asked me about my relationship with money. My uncles sold that building.
Okay.
They wanted to sell it to us, but we weren't in a position to buy. I mean, we were a year into doing, you know what I mean? Like, we weren't in a position to buy, and they sold it.
I know exactly how that feels. Yeah, I know exactly how that feels.
And so literally we got the notice that like we weren't going to get the loan, that they were selling the building, all that stuff. That was March 2020, before the pandemic, like before like everything blew up.
Yeah.
And we were at the NBL Gala.
Okay.
So I had won the youth entrepreneur, what is it? What was it? Entrepreneur of the Year award. Like
Talk
Young
to her
Entrepreneur
nice.
of the Year award.
Talk to her nice.
So that was 2020, and I'm literally we had found that out the day before, and so it's like the next day I had to go do this gala and like accept this award and all this stuff, and I was fucked up. Like,
how you felt about that? Because I didn't had that happen 2 times, where family was selling things and they knew I was an investor and sold it to somebody else. Twice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That don't make you wanna.
That shit hit different.
It's hit that, and then it's like you don't know how to carry the relationship after that.
But money though.
Yeah.
How does money show up in relationships? Family, friendships, all that.
Yeah. Did you feel betrayed? Or did you feel like, oh, it's just business? Especially since you're an entrepreneur.
No, betrayed for sure.
Yeah, same.
There's a lot of other underlying, you know,
issues or things that
absolutely. And the building was paid for, so that part.
Bruh. Hey.
Yeah.
Nah, I know exactly what you're going.
But
oh my gosh,
if I had not let that go, because it was a moment where I came to work one morning and the entire roof of the building was off,
collapsed. It was off.
Yeah, like it had like blown off from like a regular little storm. Not the whole roof, but like one part of the roof of this building that I wanted to buy. And it was like my grandfather releasing me. It was like, bruh, you don't know what else gonna come with this building. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it go.
Okay.
And I never imagined I've just been, like you said, the manifester, right? Like I had this plan, Capricorn plan. Yeah. Everything was boom, 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 boom. I told you, undergrad, grad school, you know, I never planned being in the St. Luke building. Never planned being in the St. Luke building. Never had that in my sights. Never had it in my sights to be in Miss Maggie's footsteps. Like that was never like a part of the plan. And so Miss Wanda Stalin's family friend, Black woman, Black family, owned the building, St. Luke building. And, you know, it had been abandoned for 30 years or so. She got with an investor, put several $1 million into it, built 12 residential apartments above, and then 4,000 square feet of commercial space at the bottom.
Beautiful.
And so, spring, she was like, you know, we're wrapping up the renovation and we got the commercial space. You and Nikki can come see it, you know, and see what you think. And so we went and took a tour. It was construction zone, right? But like as soon as us walking into the building, we felt it. Like you. So feel
y'all
it.
Leasing that space from her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Leasing. Mm-hmm.
That's and so I saw. Is her body there? Is her body like
Maggie Walker?
Yeah. Like
no.
Girl. Okay. I saw somehow she was like. I don't know why I thought I read something that. I might have read it wrong.
No, her grave is in Evergreen Cemetery.
Okay.
So 2021, our first legacy week, we brought all our kids out there and tended the gardens and tended the you know, her plot and everything. But even her plot is gangster. Like her statue in the middle, and then she got all her family around her buried around her.
Yo,
like
fire.
A big plot, like it's fire.